Good morning to everyone, and welcome to Sunday morning meditation and Dharma service. So I am looking around this room and I have missed so many of your faces. It's so nice to see you. We have been covered in beautiful ice for a few weeks, so I haven't got to see many of you. And then also there's lots of new faces in the room. So that's really lovely. I wanted to tell you that even though we're in this beautiful winter icy season, that it's very interesting that we have the seeds of the next season sort of intermingling probably more at this very moment. So yesterday I woke up and I thought, oh, I smell spring. Did anybody else have that yesterday? I don't know, maybe just me, but I smelled it. I don't care about ice. So we are in this wonderful sort of continuum, this continuum of snow and ice and how we just change. It's an ever-changing aspect. So let us practice today. We have a Dharma talk by Michael Lee with sort of that theme, the theme of acceptance. So this allowance of the change and whatever arises. And we also will do many forms of meditation. We will have sitting meditation, we will chant today, and we will have movement by Karen about yoga. Karen will start us out with yoga, and we'll also do some bowing practice. So if we can begin by welcoming Karen, and she will start us off with her wonderful yoga practice.
Good morning, everyone. May I ask you to please stand? You might want to remove your socks because it can be a little slippery on the floor, but it's totally up to you. So just come to a comfortable standing position, and let's begin by taking one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. We'll take a nice big inhale and allow the belly to expand, noticing the heartbeat, noticing the breath in the body, and connecting to the ever-present wisdom in your heart. As you exhale, let the body soften. As you inhale, let the belly expand. And exhale, body softens. So release your hands beside you, become soft behind your knees. We'll take a moment to bring the hands in front of the heart center. And we're going to take a nice big inhale, reaching up overhead. Lengthen the side body, reach all the way up. Soften your knees and bend deeply, folding over the legs. Come halfway up, bring your hands to your knees, roll the shoulders back, straight spine, look down at the floor. Exhale, nice gentle fold again over the legs. Doesn't matter how far you go. Now find your feet grounding into the earth as you inhale and reach all the way up again, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And exhale the hands down and heart, hands in front of the heart. We'll do that one more time. Soft knees, inhale, reach up. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Big inhale in. Exhale, swan dive over the legs, nice and gentle. Softness behind your knees. Inhale, halfway up, straight back, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, fold one more time. And then feet grounding into the earth as you inhale, 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 reach up. And exhale, hands come down to the center line. Let's go ahead and step the feet a little wide. It doesn't have to be crazy wide, just a little wide. We're going to turn the right toes out and the left toes in. Inhale the arms up, shoulder level, palms facing down. Roll the shoulders back and bend into that front knee. Look down and make sure that you can see your big toe there. So that means you'll have to move your knee over a little bit to the left. towards the little toe. Try to keep that knee directly above your ankle. We'll inhale, straighten the knee, and touch the palms. Exhale, bend again. Inhale, straighten, touch the palms. Exhale, bend again. Inhale, touch the palms. This time bring the back hand to the back leg and reach towards the back of the room. Go ahead and bend into that knee and straighten and come back to arms in T. Coming into your triangle pose, again, roll the shoulders back. We're going to just shift the hips back as we reach forward, and then just pivot the arms. So the front arm comes down, the back arm comes up. Try not to collapse the top shoulder down forward. Instead, try to keep it directly above the other shoulder. Doesn't have to be perfect. Connect to your breath. Now find your feet and push into the floor and come back up again. Relax the arms, turn the toes forward, and breathe. Notice how that feels. How is it now, as they say? Turn the opposite toes out. That would be your left toes out and your left heel back. Inhale, arms out, shoulder level, palms facing down, shoulders rolled back. Bend into the front knee. Look over that front hand. Notice how you're working to maintain this pose. It may look really simple, but it's not. Inhale, straighten the knee, arms come up, palms touch. Exhale, bend and reach. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend. One more time, inhale, up. This time bring the back hand to the back leg and reach towards the front of the room. Opening up the side body. Breathe. Come back into T. And keep the front knee straight so we can move into our triangle pose. Reaching forward, shifting the hips back. Smile as you bring the left hand down and the right arm up. Stay with your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. You'll come on out of it anytime you feel like it. And then find your feet first. Press into the earth and come back up. Release the arms. Toes, both toes facing forward. So you can shorten the stance a little bit if you'd like. You're going to bring the hands behind the body. You can either clasp with fingers like so, or you can reach for your wrists, whatever feels better for you. And we're going to start by folding over. So we're going to inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift the heart. Exhale, hinge forward at the hip crease with a straight back, but keep some softness behind your knees. Doesn't matter how far you fold. See if you can raise your arms up behind you. Try to find some ease here with your breath. Keep breathing. Always softness behind your knees. And then find your feet again into the earth, pushing the earth into the earth and lift up, lift up, lift up. And relax, release. Now heel toe your feet a little bit closer. We're going to do something very similar. Step the right foot forward and the left foot back. You want to be standing on train tracks, okay? So it's not one foot behind the other. Instead, it's hip distance apart. So again, we'll interlace, and this time you can interlace with the opposite thumb on top if you like. Roll the shoulders back. Plug that big front toe into the floor. That big front toe. The big toe of the front foot. That's what I meant to say. Inhale, lift the heart. Now press both feet into the earth as you extend nice and long out over that front leg. Keep pulling that right hip slightly back and that left hip slightly forward. Let the back of the neck be soft. Let the head just become nice and relaxed. Big stretch behind the legs. So find your feet again. Inhale, press into the earth, and lift up. Release the hands and step back. Other side. Step the left foot forward on your train tracks. Really plug into the big toe of the front foot. Reach behind you again. Face a different way, whatever feels awkward. Roll the shoulders back, release them down, lift the heart, inhale. You might want to look where the wall meets the ceiling. And exhale, extend out over the legs. Drawing the left hip slightly back and the right hip slightly forward. Notice how different it might feel from one side to the other. Connect to your breath. Now find your feet again. Press into the floor. Inhale, lift up. Release the hands, step back. I can go all day. How much more do you want me to go? That's good? Wind it up? Okay, okay. Take a nice inhale, soft knees. We're just going to reach up, gather all the energy from the sun. We know it's there. Draw it down into your heart. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.
If you could remain standing, please. Sorry, thank you. We are going to face our Ilwan Song, or one circle image, and do 4 bows. This one circle image represents our true nature, Dharmakaya Buddha, which is limitless, boundless, and interconnected. So we bow to the graces, the 4 graces, or the contents of the Ilwan Song. So I bow in gratitude to the grace of heaven and earth, honoring the infinite beneficence of nature and the universe. I bow in gratitude to the grace of parents, honoring the beneficence from parents, ancestors, and all those who have had a nurturing role in my life. I bow in gratitude to the grace of fellow beings, recognizing the truth of interconnectedness. I bow in gratitude to the grace of laws, which guides us, protects us, and promotes justice. I invite you to find your seat. You'll find a comfortable position and prepare your body for sitting meditation. Now Patty will read the method of sitting meditation and guide us further.
The method of sitting meditation is simple and easy. Sit comfortably on the floor or in a chair. Breathe in and grab all your tension and breathe it out. Open up your chest and heart. Stretch up tall and align your spine from your neck to your tailbone. Relax your shoulders and arms, then allow your hands to rest on your knees. Bring your attention to your breath. As you exhale, release all mental and physical tension. Invite your attention to abide in your chi energy field, which is called Danjin. This is located about 2 inches below your navel and is the power center for your breathing. Open your eyes and gaze downward over the end of your nose and to the floor. Keep your mouth closed and allow the tip of your tongue to rest gently against the roof of your mouth. When your mind is concentrated and calm, pure and clear saliva may gather in the mouth. You may swallow it. Relax your facial muscles and notice your gentle smile. If your face or body begins to itch, do not scratch. This is just a sign of energy circulating in your body. Simply note the itching and let it pass. If your legs ache unbearably, you may change position very slowly and quietly as you maintain a calm stillness and do not interrupt others. When thoughts arise in your mind, do not be discouraged or disturbed by them. Simply focus on your breathing without reacting to or playing with those thoughts. Recognize them as thoughts. They will disappear by themselves. And remember, keep bringing your awareness back to your Danjan breathing center. If you continue practicing meditation for a long period of time, you will rest in the realm of samadhi, deep meditation, in which the mind is calm, concentrated, perfectly focused, and at peace, with no distinction between self and others, time and place. We are grateful to sit quietly together, finding the still point within. May we be here now, aware of our ever calm and alert spirit.
Meditation comes in many forms. Please open up your booklets to page 4 and 5 to chant the Ilwan Song vow in the Heart Sutra led by John.
Ilwan Song vow. Ilwan is the realm of samadhi beyond words and speech, the gateway of birth and death, transcending being and non-being, origin of heaven and earth, parents, fellow beings, and laws, the true nature of Buddhas, enlightened masters, unenlightened people, and sentient beings. Ilwan manifests as both permanence and impermanence. Viewed as permanence, Ilwan unfolds into an infinite world that is ever abiding, spontaneous, just as it is viewed as impermanence. Ilwan unfolds into infinite worlds through the cycle of formation, duration, decay, and extinction of the universe. The birth, aging, illness, and death of all beings, according to how we use our minds and bodies. In the 4 forms of birth, we transform through the 6 realms of existence, progressing or regressing. Grace arising from harm or harm from grace. Therefore we unawakened beings vow to practice wholeheartedly, modeling ourselves after Ilwan Song, the Dharmakaya Buddha, by cultivating our minds and bodies deeply. Human affairs and universal principles thoroughly, using our minds and bodies skillfully, thus progressing rather than regressing, receiving grace rather than harm, until we attain the great empowerment of Ilwan, become one with the nature of Ilwan. Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, when deeply practicing Prajnaparamita, realized that all 5 aggregates are empty, thus became free from all suffering and distress. Shariputra form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. The same is true of sensations, perceptions, impulses, and consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They do not appear or disappear, not tainted or pure, do not increase or decrease in emptiness. No form, no sensations, no perceptions, impulses, no consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, object of consciousness, ignorance nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, cessation of suffering, no path, no wisdom, no attainment with nothing to attain. Bodhisattva relies on Prajnaparamita, therefore the mind has no hindrance. Without any hindrance, no fears exist. Free from delusion, one dwells in nirvana. Buddhas of the past, present, and future rely on Prajnaparamita and attain supreme enlightenment. Know that Prajnaparamita is the great mantra, is the great enlightening mantra. It's the unsurpassed and unequaled mantra, which is able to eliminate all suffering. This is true, not false, so proclaim the Prajnaparamita mantra, which says gone, gone, gone beyond, far beyond, now awaken. Gate, gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha.
So let's just take a moment to let out a breath and stretch our bodies. Raising your arms up, breathe in and reach for the sky. Hold the breath for a moment and breathe out. Release the arms. Turn your neck from one side, roll your neck. And the other direction. Roll the shoulders back and forward. And then let's just twist to one side and twist to the other side. And now you can release your legs and just find a comfortable position. And you can turn your cushions toward the front of the room as well. So now we will have a Dharma talk by our dear Dharma friend, and he's also a Dharma teacher, Michael Lee. So we can please bring your palms together to welcome Michael. And his Dharma talk title, like I said, is Acceptance.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, everyone, Dharma friends. It's beautiful to see your faces here this morning and feel your presence. As we walk this path, the Sangha, I believe, is such an important part of it. And my talk this morning is on acceptance, but when I talk about its acceptance, I always really can't leave out love, because I think acceptance and love go hand in hand. So I'll be perhaps referring to that a little as well. I also want to start this talk with an admission of great humility. For 40 years now, I've been practicing, teaching yoga meditation and following a spiritual path. And I can honestly say that the practice of acceptance is one that I find most challenging. And so a good dear friend and advisor once told me the things that you need to practice, you need to also teach, because in teaching them, you'll learn to practice them better. So that's part of my rationale for choosing acceptance as my topic this morning. So I'd like to begin with a quote from Master Sotasan. He says, being and non-being, being into non-being and non-being into being, turning and turning in the ultimate. Being and non-being are both void, yet this void is also complete. So this verse to me represents that true acceptance is really kind of difficult, and particularly for our minds to kind of grasp and understand. But it also reflects the interconnectedness of existence and non-existence, suggesting that true acceptance involves the recognizing of the transient and independent nature of all things. By understanding this, one can attain a sense of completeness and peace amidst an ever-changing flow of life. But for some of us, myself included, this level of acceptance is pretty difficult. And so what I'd like to do in this talk is maybe simplify it a little bit, make it a little more tangible, and maybe even a little more actionable in our day-to-day life. How can we take this beautiful concept and wisdom and bring it into our daily life in a somewhat easier way? Another quote from Jack Cornfield about acceptance. Acceptance means not resisting what is. It means allowing life to be just as it is. When we truly accept, we find peace. So the question is, why practice acceptance? What does it actually, bottom line, do for us day to day? Well, one of the things is that true acceptance really opens up. It's a liberating process, because when we can accept things as they are, we open up to, in that moment following that, choice. And the choice is, how do we be with this? How do we be with this situation, given that this is how it is? But if we're in denial about how it is, it's very hard to exercise that choice. Viktor Frankl is attributed, I don't know if it's actually his quote or not, some people argue about it, but it's attributed to Viktor Frankl. In the moment between stimulus and response, there is a pause, and in that pause, a moment to choose. So if we can be present to what's happening around us and take that slight pause to be fully present to what's happening and the reality of it, and make a choice about accepting it or not, first choice. And if we do accept in that pause, we then are liberated to choose how we wish to be with that. That's a little different than reacting, right? Sometimes something happens and the immediate thing is to react out of our conditioning, out of our past, out of whatever, or the circumstances or the fears of the future or something else, and to react to what's happening. That's different than choosing, and that's not really taking the pause to take in what's really happening, because the future hasn't happened yet. It hasn't come yet. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? And all the stuff that happened in the past, that's gone. It's not coming back. So all there is now. And can we enter that moment now and find the liberating space to choose how to be with that? Some people think acceptance is sort of turning your toes up and saying, what the, yeah, and just suffering through, you know. All right, I can't change it, so damn it, I'll just accept it the way it is and get on with it, you know. with an attitude, of course, right? With a little bit of an edge around that. But that's not acceptance. That's acquiescence. And acquiescence isn't acceptance. Acceptance does not take away your agency. It does not prevent you from acting in a way that can create a better situation, a better you, a better relationship, or a better world. That's all part of the choice that is open to you in the liberation of accepting what's really happening, without the story, without the reaction, without the fear of the future or the regret from the past. Very difficult. Not easy to do, right? So, like all practices, it takes some training, right? Some of it comes pretty easy if we can meditate and through our meditation practice come to that place of creating the pause, creating the stillness within, creating the clear mind. It's much easier to take that pause. But if our mind is cluttered and we're busy and we're going on the fly, going from one thing to the other, and there's no stillness, it's very difficult to choose. Also, if we're suffering greatly, if we're worried about things, if we're in fear, if we're in distress, if we're in pain, very difficult to take that pause. So again, it's a practice that has to be cultivated. And there will be times when it doesn't work out that way. Because another part of acceptance is accepting that all things, including myself, are imperfect. Imperfect. And in being imperfect, that is also perfect. Yeah. So, how do we accept imperfection? One of the best places to start with that is ourselves. Accepting ourselves as imperfect beings. I'm here, and as I speak to you, I'm learning. I've been around for quite a while. This grey hair didn't come easy. But despite the fact that I've been around and I've learned a lot, and I can stand here and talk, I don't have it all together. Far from it. I have much more learning to do. I am still imperfect. Just like nature. Look out the window, you'll see it. And nature is a great teacher of the reality of acceptance, accepting things being imperfect just the way they are, and always changing. That's the other thing about acceptance that makes it difficult, because things are always changing. Nothing stays the same. So just when we get comfortable with the way things are, someone moves our cheese and things are different. And we have to deal with that. We have to come back again to another level of acceptance. So there's the acceptance that comes easily by simply being in the moment and taking the pause, but there's other levels of acceptance that take a little longer. They take reflection, contemplation. So as well as meditation, a practice of contemplation, I think, is also useful. To be able to look at ourselves in retrospect and say, okay, what happened there? How did I respond? And how did that work out? Inquiry, right? The practice of inquiry. And it takes a little courage and vulnerability to do that, because we sometimes have to fess up that, yeah, what I did wasn't all that skillful, wasn't all that wise, you know. I could have done it differently. Instead of yelling when that person called me a name, I could have just paused and sat with the pain of that and said something else. Yeah, maybe. And that's not to say there's a right way to do everything. There's not. There's only the way that is skillful and wise, the way that brings, shall we say, a little more love to the situation and a little less fear. And if our choices of how to respond are governed by that, generally they're pretty well on the right track. But again, like I said, not easy. So I want you to know that all of these things I'm suggesting, all of these things I'm talking about, They don't happen in a heartbeat. They take patience. They take acceptance of imperfection. They take self-love. They take self-compassion. Compassion for yourself as a learner, as a being who hasn't got it all together. But you're here, and you're here sitting in this Dharma hall because you are committed to your growth. You're committed to being the best person you can be in life and show up for the people in your life with as much love, respect, and compassion as you possibly can. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You'd be somewhere else. Yeah. So you're on the path. And the fact that we haven't arrived yet, that's okay. We have each other, which is also great, to support each other as we journey the path. So what are I'll give you a few simple strategies for acceptance, things that may or may not work for you, but in choosing, my suggestion is find the ones that work best for you. Find the ones that help you the most and the easiest. First thing is cultivating awareness. We've got to be aware to be able to accept, because if we really don't know what's going on, it's hard to accept it. So being aware and knowing what's happening is really hard. That's pretty difficult these days, particularly on the global scene. We get so many input from so many different places, we really don't know. So in some ways you have to rely on your felt sense. What feels right? What feels wise? Where's the love here? And if you can sort of take in what's happening in the world with that understanding, it may help you discern what's really going on. But also refrain from immediate judgment and reaction. That's becoming increasingly difficult to do as things speed up in our world, and it becomes much harder to not judge people in power, people making choices, people making decisions. And there's nothing wrong with judgment in so much as to say, that's not the way I do it, or I'd prefer a different way, or this is not wise, and I want it to be different. Nothing wrong with that at all, and nothing wrong with having the agency to want to change that. But the big question is, how do you go about changing it? Is reaction the right way? And as the great teacher and patriot Martin Luther King said, hate is not overcome by hate. Only love can overcome that. And so reacting out of our hate, or our reaction to hate, by hating more, in my view, doesn't really do it. We have many great spiritual teachers in the Buddhist tradition, including the Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh, among others, who've demonstrated clearly that there is another way, that we can choose love rather than hate, and response to hate through reaction and fear. So the other thing we can do is embrace being overdoing. Sometimes when something happens, we just want to do something to fix it. And that's understandable. That's a great thing. And it's not to say that it's not good to bring skillful means to bear when something does need a fix. But our focus on being human doings rather than human beings can often get us into a little bother, right? So fix it is a great thing, but it's not always the right thing in the right situation, in the circumstances we're in. Sometimes it's best to just be for a while, to practice being. And all of the practices that we do here support that. They support how we be on the inside, how we be with ourselves, how we be as a human being. And so a little more focus on being overdoing is really helpful, I think, in embracing acceptance. I've already mentioned compassion, and that's an important one. Compassion for self, compassion for others. How can we be compassionate for ourselves as being the imperfect being, and also share that compassion with others who we love and others who we don't love, those perhaps we may feel animosity towards. We've already mentioned imperfection, and that's a big one, of course, celebrating our imperfection and knowing that that's okay. So what if I can't accept? What if there are things that I just can't accept? Anyone been in that situation? I just can't accept that. Yeah, it happens. We feel it, and it's strong. I know there are situations in my own life where that's definitely been there. So what do we do in that situation? Do we try and force it? Do we try and say, okay, I've just got to accept this, tough it out? I don't think so. In some ways, that can actually make it worse, I believe. I think part of acceptance is accepting what we can't accept. For now, anyway. Okay, I'm having a hard time with that one. I can feel inside of me how difficult it is to accept that situation and sit with the discomfort of that feeling. Being present to the discomfort, allowing it to be there, having compassion for the discomfort, embracing the discomfort, breathing with it, rather than rushing out to try and fix it, make it go away through fixing it, or the alternative, trying to squash it and push it out of the picture so it doesn't exist. Stoicism is really good in some situations to have resilience and strength. But I believe when it comes to accepting what we can't accept, it doesn't really help to try and tough it out. It helps better to be soft around it, to create a soft space around the difficulty that we have in accepting whatever it is we have difficulty accepting, being okay with that. For me, writing about or talking about acceptance is kind of bittersweet. I'm aware of the liberating force it carries, but I'm also aware of the suffering that goes along for the ride, and sometimes that acceptance can trigger. I was born an only child. I grew up in post-World War II in Australia as an only child, with a mother who'd been through the Great Depression, was the oldest of several in a family, and who had a pretty hard time in that role. I guess part of that made her committed to the fact that if she could possibly do anything to avoid it, I would not suffer. I got the golden ride. I got the charm treatment. Right? She'd made sure that I didn't get hurt. And when I did, she'd make sure I was okay. A lot of protection, a lot of care, and a lot of avoidance of confrontation for perhaps things that I should have been confronted about. You could say the spoiled child in some ways. So it was great in one way, but there was a downside to that. And the downside to that was a belief that I could always find a way to make things right, to take away the suffering, to not have to deal with or accept the reality of the circumstances that I was surrounded by, because I could find a way to manipulate, cajole, plead, beg, do whatever to get the circumstances to change so I wouldn't have to suffer. And so it wasn't in my best interest in many ways because, and amongst other things, I didn't learn a lot about compassion or empathy or unconditional love for others, if I could get them to do things differently to make me more comfortable. And I also didn't have to endure a lot of the discomfort of even being alone, because I could always go find someone else to play with. And so it's only in my later years in life that I've had to face the reality of not being able to control the external circumstances to get my own way, to make it work, but to actually deal with and sit with the discomfort of separation, of loss, of fear, of old age, pending old age, and ultimately death. The acceptance there, no one can control the external circumstances and take it away. We've got it. It's ours. So I figure probably now's a good time to start practicing for that. And so acceptance now is really a daily part of my practice. Being with what is. And what's the way around that? Like I said, there are some things that are difficult to accept. And acknowledging the reality of that. Okay, this is true. I'm having difficulty accepting it. And now what's my choice? I'm not completely liberated by accepting it, but I do have a choice to be with the reality of, yeah, been aware of it, not fully accepting it, now what? And again, this is where I come back to love. And my choice is how to be with something when it's difficult, and no matter what the situation is that I can't control or can't manipulate to change the external circumstances. How do I be with these circumstances? And the choice is to bring more love to the situation. So even if people don't accept me, even if people are distant, even if people don't like me, how can I bring love to that and act in a loving way? And my experience so far, in a fairly short time of doing this practice, has been that it does actually work. It's not easy, but it does work. So my guiding principle now is how do I bring love? And last weekend, my dear partner, I was teaching a workshop last weekend on deepening relationships at a place just up the road, big place up in Lenox, Mass. Probably know it, Kripalu. And in the shop, she found this little stone and gave it to me. It's got 2 words on it. It says, "Love wins." And it's very special to me because it's a guide. It's something that I can look at every day and say, okay, whatever's going on here today, where's the love? How can I bring love to this in some way? I'm going to wrap it up now, but before I do, just a few things that also help. For many years I've been a yoga practitioner and as well as a follower of the Buddha Dharma. And we had this beautiful beginning this morning with Karen leading us in a yoga practice. And to me, that's a great additional practice for acceptance. If I can go into a stretch and find that place of just in between, that place of not too much, not too little, but a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of an edge, and I can hang out there for a while, it is very liberating. Because often what I notice happens is that sensation shifts, it changes. I can actually watch it change. And it's a great teacher because it teaches me how to hang out with a little bit of discomfort. Right? So I recommend moving and breathing as well as stretching your body every day and finding a stretch where you can hang out for a while. At least one that you can hold for a few seconds and see how that goes. Meditation, of course, and also reflection and contemplation. And journaling is a good one for this. To have a little record of, okay, so this happened today. This is how I chose to be with it. This is what I might have done differently. Or this is how I'd like to be with this when it comes up again. And it's not a way to beat yourself up and, be a chronicle of all your ills and wrongs. It's more a way of engaging into the discipline of inquiry, to ask yourself, how might I shift this? How might I make this a little different? Something you might take away and reflect on, what's easy for you to accept and what's difficult, and what gets in your way of experiencing greater acceptance. And again, don't be harsh on yourself. Have compassion, have loving kindness toward yourself as you engage that inquiry. But it's a helpful and useful guide, I would hope. And I want to leave you with a prayer that has come to mean a lot to me, particularly recently, but it's one that some of you will recognize, and I believe is pretty true. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I leave this for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael, for all of your wisdom, your sharing. And there's so many things to comment about, but I think that the easiest, quickest, most lovely thing is just love wins. We can take that with us in every moment. Love wins, right? Thank you. So please open up your booklets to page 6 to read the essential dharmas of daily practice, and Jeff will lead us in that.
Essential dharmas of daily practice. 1. The mind is originally free from disturbance, but disturbances arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the equanimity of our true nature by letting go of disturbances. 2. The mind is originally free from delusion, but delusions arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the wisdom of our true nature by letting go of delusions. 3. The mind is originally free from wrongdoing, but wrongdoings arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the precepts of our true nature by letting go of wrongdoings. 4. Let us replace disbelief, greed, laziness, and ignorance with belief, zeal, questioning, and dedication. 5. Let us turn resentment into gratitude. 6. Let us turn dependency into self-reliance. 7. Let us turn reluctance to learn into willingness to learn well. 8. Let us turn reluctance to teach into willingness to teach well. 9. Let us turn lack of public spirit into eagerness to serve the good of all.
Thank you. So I have a few announcements to make, many announcements to make. So there are a few retreats upcoming, and there are spaces left in our Young People Maum retreat, and this is happening March 14th through 16th. So if this is all the retreats are on the website, so if you're interested in this, please check it out. Then we have our Memorial Day weekend retreat, Awakening the Buddha Within, Sudden and Gradual Paths to Liberation. And this is about Chinul. So this is a revered Korean Zen master. So this retreat, Reverend Kim from Boston is coming for this retreat, May 23rd through May 26th. She is an incredible teacher. And also another one of my teachers, Reverend Sungin. And this is Meditation Retreat, The Art of Love. And this is July 4th weekend, July 3rd through 6th. So this one is going to be amazing as well. And she's coming all the way from somewhere very cold, Minnesota. So, and then we have an online training, One Meditation for Inner Peace program. And this is really lovely. So we have One Institute of Philadelphia, which is an online college program. So you can take training, or a college, excuse me. You can take training. So this is the first step toward the One Meditation Facilitator training program. And it's led by our lay minister, Brian Freer, and also Reverend Ho Jin. So those are our announcements. And the last announcement is that after this, if anybody would like to just pause for a moment and gather as a community, we're just going to have a very quick sort of 15-minute community gathering just to sort of open up communication lines and see how you're doing and see if we can start to develop that acceptance, love, and deepen our Sangha and growth. So that will happen directly after. So now please open up your booklets to page 9. We will close with the morning prayer song. Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, I begin a new day in your presence. Today, full of health and with peace of mind, may I walk along the path of the Buddha. Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, I begin a new day with your grace. Today, gratefully and with gentle words, may I live in harmony with all those I meet. Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, I begin a new day with compassion. Today, making the world a more loving place. May I do all that I can for one world. Thank you so much for your practice with us today. We will see you next Sunday. Have a wonderful week.